Can you realistically make a living out of trading?
Yes, there's thousands of people. Is it risky? Hell yes. But just like anything else in life, you need to educate yourself. It's just like weightlifting, going to the gym. If you think that you're going to the gym and lift 200 kgs right off the bat, you're going to risk.
Yeah.
You might as well go to casinos.
So how long does a student or someone learning trading can see some result?
I would say 6 months to 8 months consistency. Now this is part-time. And I believe most people want to quit their job right away and become a full-time trader. I say first you get your main job stable income, because then you're not freaking out, right? Second thing is you got to learn the skills, and then when you learn the skills, you start to scale up.
How do you transition then?
So I've been in many places where I didn't particularly like the job, but it helped me pay my bills and stuff. And at night during lunch breaks, I would have like say 2 or 3 hours in a store, but I would sit in my car, open up my laptop, and I would sit there and trade stocks back in the day, right? Look at the markets. So instead of scrolling my phone on cat videos, I focus on trading. Our strategy is first you paper trade, get maybe 80% on that, call it the sniper approach, okay? And like a sniper, we wait for the perfect setup, and then we take one shot, right? And we make 10%, we're in and we're out, sometimes within minutes.
What is the brutal truth, the dream of quitting a job in 9 to 5 and become a full-time trader?
Just like I did back when I was 24 years old and said I want to have an extraordinary life, not an ordinary life, I think.
Hey, welcome back to the Entrepreneur's Journal. So I just want to make a disclaimer that anything that we discuss here is not financial advice and shouldn't be taken as financial advice. Always do your own research before investing or trading, as it can be very risky. So that's where we're going to start the podcast. And we have Louie today on the show.
Hi, Louie.
And
Hi, guys.
And I'm going to jump straight into it and ask you the $1 million question. Can you realistically make a living out of trading?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And I want to re-emphasize what you just shared, Gene. And I'll look at the camera. Investing is risky until you know how. That's why I focus on education and you guys are focused on education.
Yeah.
So can you make money trading, day trading? Yes, there's thousands of people. Is it risky? Hell yes, it's risky. But just like anything else in life, you need to educate yourself. And I love what you guys are doing today. The biggest thing I would say is my analogies I give to my students and my community is it's just like weightlifting, going to the gym. If you think that you're going to day trade and you're going to the gym and lift 200 kgs right off the bat, you're going to risk.
Yeah.
You might as well go to a casino, Genting, right? It's the same stuff, right? You see all these things on YouTube now and TikTok where these guys are putting $100 in and they're making, 10,000 on a casino, slot machine, right? You've seen them, very popular. Yeah. Vegas Matt, Mickey Mays, all these guys. They don't show you their losses. They don't show you the transparency. They don't show you how much it costs them. They show you 30 seconds, but they don't show you the years and years that go into it.
So Louie, how did you started day trading? Were you like always into day trading, or do you have like a normal job back then and then found day trading to be something that can support you financially and stuff like that, and then that's where you go from there? How did you came into day trading?
Well, day trading is the next evolution. So what I did, I come from a technical background. I was a nuclear engineer on an aircraft carrier for the U.S. Navy, and then I worked robotics. I worked all this stuff, but I realized the people above me, the business guys, were the ones making the money.
Right.
As an engineer in the U.S., maybe back then 30, 50,000 a year, but your boss who knows zero technical stuff, he's just got an MBA or some business, he's making 100,000. Right?
Yeah.
And so I followed the traditional route. My parents are very traditional. I followed the traditional route. And then I started to realize, wow, these guys who are making money, say 100,000 a year, they don't have time freedom. They don't have location freedom, right? And they don't really have money freedom because they're limited. So, I followed a lot of gurus, let's say, a lot of my mentors, the guys like Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, Zig Ziglar back in the day. And so they kind of opened up my mind. So when I was 24 years old, I read a book. And what happened was they said, you need to make a decision. So at 24 years old, I was in the U.S. Navy, and I said, listen, I want to lead not an ordinary life. I want to have an extraordinary life. Now, just because I made that decision, Gene, doesn't mean it comes true just like that.
Yep.
Just like I want to lose 20 kgs doesn't mean it's going to happen like that. So it took me about 4 years to start researching.
Okay.
And one thing I research, and I tell your audience out there, researching stuff you like. Like, I love technology. We came in your studio, what's the cameras? I don't fully, but I like the technology. I love how you took this space and can transform it. I love how our audience It could be anywhere from local Malaysia, Singapore, the people in Bhutan, or North America. It could be anywhere, and that's the beauty of living in 2025, 2026. So I made that decision, and I just followed the path. And what I realized is that you need to have multiple streams of income.
For sure.
Yeah, and what multiple streams is just like you say you have a bucket, your bank account. If you only have one stream coming in, which most people do, their job, and then what happens is sometimes that goes away. Or sometimes what happens is your expenses, which I call leaks in the bucket, get bigger. Any of you guys have kids? You have kids?
I don't. Steven just recently
Really?
had one.
Congrats. So did your expenses go up or go down?
Definitely went
Go
up.
down, right? And you're both married, right?
I don't have kids, but my expenses keep going up.
Yeah, you go up, right? Now, and you guys are at that space, right? You guys are in your 30s and 40s?
I'm reaching 40 next
40,
year.
and yourself?
I'm 35.
35, okay. So as you know, as you get older, and you shared some of your story before, you want to take care of your parents.
Yeah.
And so it flips, especially in Asia, maybe not so much in the US where I'm originally from. So your expenses go up. So I said, okay, what could I do and I noticed, well, trading, if I could do day trading, if I could spend a few hours just by myself, it's just me versus the markets, it's easier. And so that's kind of, and so I, and we'll talk more about this. I started with stocks many years ago, and then I got into crypto, which I'm currently doing a lot of crypto. Then we got into Forex, and now with AI, which I know you've got a company with AI. Well, that's just changed the game for the retail or consumer investor like us.
Right. And just before we go any further, what exactly is trading versus like investing, which everybody is familiar with?
Oh, it's great example. So trading, I would say, is like fishing, right? And investing is like farming. Right. So when you invest, right, you farming, you can't reap an apple in a day. It takes you many months. You got to plan. Just like I'm investing in something like in real estate, I don't just flip it, but with say trading, day trading especially, it's like fishing. We can go out, we can catch the fish within a few hours or a few minutes, and then we're done. So I like that. I get immediate results. And I believe in anyone's portfolio, you should have both the trading and investing part.
I see. I think that's a very good point, but there's a lot of misconception about trading, especially day trading versus investing. I think the old school people will say, don't trade, just invest, park your money there for like 30 years. And it always makes a lot more money than trading in and out of the market. What is your take on that?
It can. I mean, it's whatever you believe, you believe. Right. So a lot of the people, the older people, I grew up in my grandfather, your dad's age, your grandfather's age, where they didn't have as much opportunities as we do now. Right. I'm sure your parents are saying, why are you doing a podcast? No one makes money on the internet. Right.
Yeah.
And then we both know, and the audience out there knows, many people who are making millions of dollars doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Right. Social media people are real. People make money in video games. I have a little nephew. He's 11 years old. He wants to be a video game thing. And before, when you grew up, never make money in video games.
Yeah.
You make money, right?
Just by playing video games.
Just by playing video games. Live streaming. Yeah, some of the people
crazy.
make millions of dollars a year. So the whole thing is, so this is a beautiful time and a stressful time. A beautiful time if you're young and you have your mind can adapt. It's a horrible time if you're stuck in that 1980s, 1970s method, right? It's different. It's like being a TV star today. Like I've got a lot of friends. You meet friends and I meet them. Oh, I'm a TV star. I'm this and this. I grew up, there's only 3 channels, like ABC in the States, NBC. TV star, everyone saw them. Now there's 1,000 channels. I've got a friend who's got 4 movies out. I've never seen them because they're on, not Netflix, they're on Hulu or something else like that, right? It's changed. The model has changed now. And so that's why I love it. I love it. And one thing I will share, you need to find a like-minded community. So having guys like you, like we talked before the interview, it's great. It's great. And I'm so excited to share some of that stuff with our audience today.
Yeah.
So I think whatever you believe, you can achieve. And I think day trading, again, we'll talk about the specifics of what you need to do to be successful, is a viable option. Definitely a viable option today.
Right. Before we jump into specific, what kind of return do you see in day trading?
Well, now that's a great question there.
Yeah.
People think that you can take $1,000 and make $10,000 in a month.
Yeah, that's the misconception, right?
Yeah, that's more the casino. That's more going to Genting or Singapore, right? I would say the realistic, based on my students' feedback, my feedback, is 5 to 10, maybe 15% a month. And you got to have a sufficient starting reserve capital. So if you have, let's say 100,000 and you want to make 5,000 a month, depends on what assets you're doing. That's great. And that's what I believe. And it's very low risk. And again, we all start small. We all start small. We start through the process of paper trading. We start, $1, $2, $5 trades, and we move up to $100,000, $1,000 trades.
Right. Steven is not as familiar with day trading.
Yeah.
I don't day trade a lot. I do investing. I tend to day trade, not day trade, swing trade quite a bit during my working days, trying to earn an extra living. But I always don't seem to be able to make a profit, no matter what I do. I try to be disciplined. I draw lines across the charts and that kind of stuff. Sometimes I just ask myself, is it skills that I have is not good enough, or is it I'm not disciplined enough? What do you think someone need to have in terms of being successful in trading?
Okay, so when we talk about trading for your audience, trading, we're talking about day trading, which you're in for a few hours. Swing trading, that term is normally traders who do, let's say, 3 to 5 days, right? And they're both good. Any way we want to win.
Yeah.
Right. So I would say 2 things in life, which I've learned is discipline and consistency. Discipline, what that means is you have the plan, okay, and you stick to the plan, right? And we use the analogy of the gym, which I think is great.
Yeah.
So if I go to the gym, I've gone to the gym with no plan, I'll waste an hour, 2 hours flirting with this girl, doing
Playing
whatever,
my phone.
playing with my phone, taking selfies, which are horrible. But if I go in with a plan, I can get in and out 30 to 45 minutes.
Right.
Now, I have a trainer, and I tell my trainer, I tell her, I said, the reason I have you is to hold me accountable. Because I know and I can have access. And that's why we have trainers. That's why I have a community. Because when you're iPad, you can go to YouTube and get thousands of investing videos.
Yeah.
But then when you're in the arena, who do you call? Who because it's different watching a video, just like the gym is different. Watching a video, then you go to the gym.
Definitely.
Yeah,
So
very different.
Yeah.
It's just like a car, right? And you guys both drive, and you know how it is, right? You watch the manual, okay, great, but then you go in there, then you're in traffic, right? And then it's a holiday here in Malaysia, and then you also got to urinate, and so you're doing all this stuff, and your wife's yapping at you, and you're like, how do I do that stuff, right? So discipline, consistency. When we talk about trading, I tell my students, if you have the right mindset, which is, I believe, life, and you guys will agree with that. You guys interviewed, how many people have you interviewed on your podcast since you started?
I think 30 to 40 people around there. Yeah.
And the ones who do well have the right mindset.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
All different genres, all different fields. So the right mindset is important. Mindset is like, I believe I can make money in this. If he can do it, I can do it too. Okay, so that's the mindset. Then you also need the consistency. All my friends who are bodybuilders and stuff like that, they show up to the gym each and every day or every couple days, right? So, and then, the consistency, the mindset, and now the tools, right? Just like with weightlifting, if you have the protein shakes or the creatine or the peptides or whatever they have, the red light therapy, just like you guys have tools, right? You guys have the tools to do this. In trading, we have tools. And what you would love, Stephen, we have AI tools that will show you a entry and will show you an exit, which is cool.
Right. Talk us a bit about how do you day trade, like the techniques that are being used. Can ordinary normal people, like you mentioned, I know we need consistency and discipline and stuff like that, but you don't need to be a genius to be able to make it, right?
No. So I look at, okay, what's my strategy?
Yeah.
So first off, I pick an asset. We'll go crypto. So I do two things.
Okay.
Well, when I do AI copy trading and AI bots in Forex, and then I do cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. And let's talk about Bitcoin because 99% of your audience heard of Bitcoin. So like, for example, today I did some trades. I looked at Bitcoin and I say, okay, based on the chart, and how I look at the chart, I look at moving averages, right? And also there's AI tools that will show me a range. Right. So based on, okay, the last month or the last week, this is the highest, this is the lowest. And so when I look at it and I try to look at just playing off ranges, if it's at the highest and I think it's going to come down, I'll do a short. If it's at the lowest range, so say for the last week, it usually bounces off here. We call that support, like the floor, and then ceiling is called resistance. So if it's at the support, then I say, you know what? Okay, I'll buy a long, or I buy, I think it's going to, I'll make money when it goes up. So that's a simple way to do it.
Right.
There.
But is it as simple as it seems, or there's something more to it?
You're going to have to take practice.
Right.
It's like anything, driving a car. You guys have been driving for years.
Right.
And so you can, when you were doing the 10 and 2, you guys do the 10 and 2 here? Yeah, 10 and 2.
The whole the whole this thing.
Yeah, to 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then what happens? And afterwards, you're driving with your knee, you got a big up, you're on the phone, maybe if you smoke or vape in one end, right? And so different, right? And that's the same thing when it comes to trading. The first few times, I would say you're best because we give you a plan, or you'll have a plan. Okay, here's what I need to look at. And what I do, which is something unique, I do live trading. So 2 or 3 times a week, my community, we get on Zoom and we do live trading. And we look, like last night, we did a market analysis. You've been on some of them.
Yeah.
I said, listen, and sometimes we don't trade. Because like the other night, Sunday night, I was looking at the market and I said, listen, based on where Bitcoin's at, I wouldn't go long if you're looking long because I think it can go down. And what happened today? It went down. Another
So
4.
it went down.
Yeah, went down.
Yeah, another.
Painful.
Yeah,
I should
another.
listen to Louis.
Another 4,000 or 5,000, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of that, and the biggest thing is what we call pattern recognition. Right? Pattern recognition. You guys, when you drive, when we use the analogy of driving, I know I drive in the States, I drive a little bit here, international license, but I know when a car's coming based on patterns, if I can pull out, right? If he's this far away, I can pull out. If he's this far away, I don't, right? Same with the charts. I look at the stock and I, with the indicators, okay, based on the probability, the pattern, it's going to go up, it's going to go down. And then here, how do I do that? Right? You guys are married, both of you married?
Yeah.
So you know when to be quiet around your wife based on the pattern, right? You also know when not to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right?
And technical
does-
analysis on my wife.
So does this really talking about feeling, or you really need to have technical skills to really understand the charts?
So technical skills all can be learned. Technical skills all can be learned. Just like how you learn the camera, how you learn how to put the streaming, right? It all can be learned, and it's very simple. Right. I mean, we have students currently right now, 79 is the oldest. We have some that are younger, and again, it depends how flexible you are. Right. And even a mindset. Right. If I go to the gym and say, oh, I'm always fat, I'm not going to do as well, or I always lose money, versus I say, you know what? I might not know it today, but I'll figure it out. Right. I'm sure when you guys started this about a year ago, right?
Almost a year.
Almost
Year
a
ago?
year.
Almost a year.
Did you guys have any experience at all?
No.
Right. And was it tough in the beginning?
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we didn't know
tell-
what we was doing.
But
what
we
were
we
doing.
believe that something's gonna gonna work it out.
The
anyway.
belief. Yeah, the
the
belief.
belief, and
yeah.
we know we have to be consistent if you want to do it. Like
Yeah.
we might not get any views and stuff like that, but you just gotta keep going.
The belief,
Yeah,
belief,
the
right?
belief.
And I'm sure over the last year, you've had people come up to you or send you messages that some segment in there changed their perspective or changed their life, right?
Yeah, we did.
And that's what motivates you. So it motivates you. So that's why I do this. People ask me, Louis, why do you teach? If you do so well, why do you teach? I think it's part of giving back, right? And being a teacher, listen, it's because I show my whole accounts, I show everything. It's much more humbling. And people come up to me, we do live events. We did some in Bali, Bangkok, where we trade for 3 days. And when I lose money, I'll show them too. And they say, Louis, you're one of the few trainers that will actually show your losses. Because a lot of times when it comes to investing and trading, no one wants to talk about the reality, which is losing money.
Losing money.
All right. I'm divorced, so I understand the perception of marriage. Like when I got married when I was 33, wonderful woman. I got married. I thought we would never have a fight. Because all my friends never told me about the fights with their wives, so they joked about it. But the reality was, and that's why I divorced, because I'm like, well, we had the fights, and I got to realize, okay, the fights won't last forever, right? You guys know that, right?
Yeah.
You have a little baby, right? How old's your
Yeah.
baby?
Gonna be 3 months soon.
3 months. Wow,
Yeah, just
right?
already had-
Right. And for me, as a dad, my daughter's 12, right? Yours is a daughter or son?
Daughter,
Oh, and what's her name?
Tara.
Tara. Okay. So the first 7 months a year, daddy doesn't need to be there, right? Right? It's all about the mom, and you have a helper or the grandma, because that's what it is. And so, but it's very important. So one thing I realized is, because when, and I'm sure 3 a.m, she cries, she
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
stop
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I always get this motto that my dad shared with me, that this too will pass. So I always have that, King Solomon talks about that, this too will pass. So I know that the crying, like, she'll get bigger, right? And I was excited because we had my daughter Ariel sleep with us. And do you guys do the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so sleep in the middle between me and, me and my ex-wife.
yeah.
And so I was happy because when she got bigger, because my wife always felt that I might roll over and crush her. Right? Same, yeah, I'm sure. Right?
My wife have the same thought too.
Yeah. So and I'm good at not moving at all, right? Because I'm afraid, right? And that's the reality. So what happens is, and the reason why I'm sharing that, even though it's first time meeting, right? Different cultures, we're different backgrounds, we're all the same. So one thing you asked me earlier, Louie, how do you relate to people when you travel around the world? I said, we're all the same. I understand people have fears. Most people are afraid of trading not because they're not good at it, it's just because they tried in the past and they failed.
Right.
They have all this heartbreak. That's why there's a lot of people who are 40, 50, 60-year-old that are single because they have heartbreak and they don't want to, or people who want to be entrepreneurs, but they don't. Because why? Because they have heartbreak and they say, you know what, I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah, because it's tough. I personally tried trading before, and especially when you go into a losing streak, no matter what you do, you keep losing one trade after another.
Yep.
You just kind of ask yourself, like, what am I doing something wrong?
Yep.
Is this going to work? And then you change the strategy, you go into something else, and then you start all over again, and you don't find success there. So you just go into like a rabbit hole of changing your techniques and iterating, and you keep having this losing streak, which is so difficult to get out from.
I think it's so depressing.
Yeah, so depressing. What do you say to that? Do you have that? You being a more seasoned trader in your professional, do you face that before? Like, how do you overcome that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But that's in life. So I believe I have skills. I believe I'm just like everyone else, just like you. I get depressed. But the difference between me and the average person, and thank God I have these skills, is I know how within 15, 20 minutes, how to change my state. And your state, your mindset, your body, how to change it within 15, 20 minutes. And what do I do? For example, trading, I've had times where the market goes against me all the time, especially now, Trump's in presidency, whatever he says. I go to sleep at night. I wake up. I'm like, what's going on? I sweat. So I have security, which means I'll have stop losses or have ability to DCA. So I have security, right? But let's say I'm on a losing streak and I lose money, okay? So what do I focus on, right? Your focus. So you said right now, based on maybe you're focused on all the recent losses. But if you had one win out of 100, okay, let's focus on that one win. What'd you do right there? And let's go from 1 to 2, right? And for me, I always like just starting out. It's like when I go to the gym, I warm up. So every day when I trade, I open up my charting software. I look at it. I use TradingView. Open up. I look at it and say, okay. And then I don't just go right in with $1,000. Let's say $1,000 my max trade. I don't go in. I'll go in with maybe $10, $15. Okay, see how it goes in, And then okay, cool. Just like the gym, I go warm up. I won't just grab the 40 kg weights. I'll go and warm up a little bit, see how I'm feeling. But one thing I learned from one of my trainers, his name is Danny, Mr. Singapore. He's like 40 years old, been Mr. Singapore 3 separate times.
Wow.
Like when he was in like late 20s, mid 30s, and now this past year. And he goes, Louie, regardless of what happens in my life, if I break a leg or something, I'm always in the gym. So with me, I tell my students, listen, regardless of what happened the day before, always go in the gym. And our gym is online. And you might learn something. Like the Sunday night, we were looking at the trades, didn't find anything. So, okay, let's look at other things. Let's not force anything. Just like you go to the gym. How often do you go to the gym?
Actually, I don't go to the gym. I work out at home.
Work at home, but you work out at home,
I
right?
work out at home maybe 4 times a week.
4 times a week.
Yeah,
now, there's some days where you don't feel
good.
Yeah. Do you force yourself? You don't.
No, I don't.
Because in the past, you force yourself, and then you're out for 3 days or a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very similar there, And the other thing, too, having a strong community, because I know you guys seem really close, right? So if you feel bad one day, he might lighten the day or vice versa.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I think having a strong community around you,
right,
that really helps you.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. Maybe all along I've been doing it alone and I don't know what am I doing right or wrong. And when something is wrong, no one is there to hold me accountable or to tell me that it's all right. I think same thing like everything in life, even business or anything that you're doing that which you're passionate about, you need a community to support you, to keep pushing you and to tell you what's right or wrong. Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
100%. I tell my students, I say, I'm no smarter than you. I just might be a little further on the path than you. But you can give me, and some of them gave me great ideas. Louie, have you thought about this? Because even myself full time, there's so many other training courses I want to go to, so many other things I want to learn, especially US and Japan, all this stuff. I don't have time. But as a community, we can share the very best stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And you guys know there's so many techniques, so many podcasts, but you have your team here to help you. You have a different community to kind of guide you what's the best of the best.
Yeah. So how long does a student or someone learning trading can see some results? How long does it take to be at least making some profit, consistent profit, I would say?
Oh, great question. Based on our feedback, if they're brand new, And let's say that, brand new, I would say 6 months to 8 months consistency. And now this is part-time because most of my students come in that they have a job, they're working, so they're doing this part-time. And I believe most people want to quit their job right away and become a full-time trader. I say you got to have that bridge, the bridge between your job into a full-time trader. And the bridge, I think, is first you get your main job stable income, right? Because then you're not freaking out, right? Second thing is you got to learn the skills. And then when you learn the skills, you start to scale up. Right. Let's say I want to become a bodybuilder, right? And let's use this analogy where I don't just say quit my job or quit. I slowly taper in. And most bodybuilders, and you guys know this, right? Because you guys are doing a bodybuilding channel, are not 18, 19 years old. Yeah. Some of the guys are 40 years old. They've been doing it for 20, 25 years.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? Yeah. There's that one exception. That the guy woke up, he was 500 pounds, and and then 6 months later he's a body. But most of them are not, right? Most of them are not. Most of them are, are doing that.
That's a rare one. Yeah.
It's a rare one, right? And so when people go online and they see the guy took $1,000, put in a meme coin, now he's worth 5 million. That's the exception. The reality is you got to grind it. But again, like I was sharing before, what makes me do this is because I want to have 3 freedoms in my life. And I think your audience does too. Time freedom, which, I love trading because, any day of the week, and, you can trade some kind of asset, whether it's stocks, whether it's crypto, whether it's gold. Okay. So time freedom, location freedom, which means I can do it anywhere with the internet access and everywhere in the world, even on planes, Starlink, anywhere you can do it. Right. And the last thing is money freedom, and working a traditional job, even if you're a doctor, you're limited the amount of money you can make. Right. But with trading, if you scale up, you can make as much money as you want. Right. So in terms of that aspect. So that's why I love it. Time, location, money, freedom.
Yeah, that's true.
But how do you transition that? Do you, like you said, do you work at the beginning and then you slowly transit to full trader, or you actually went to
100%. It's just like, let's say you want to be an entrepreneur. If you're working a job, what would you guys are entrepreneurs. Would you tell you have this idea, quit your job right away? And it depends, different people, right? So let's say maybe I'm married and I'm bringing the most of the money, and my wife's making a little bit. Then I would say, okay, maybe you can quit because I can support your bills and stuff like that, right? But most men, and the reality is most men are the breadwinners, right? You guys are both the breadwinners of your household. So if you guys to quit your full-time income, unless you have a lot of savings, so the whole thing I would say is plan. It's tough for me to give a generic thing, but I always say, listen, I've worked at jobs where I didn't like, but I had faith and hope that this was, I call my dream job. And what my dream job is, the last job I take before I do my own thing, right? That's what I call a dream job. So I've been at many places where I didn't particularly like the job, but it helped me pay my bills and stuff. And at night, during lunch breaks, I remember one job I worked for a robotics company, and we were putting these machines in pharmacies, like they call them CVS. Here you have Watsons and stuff. And what it will do is, and the U.S. is very, people take a lot of pills and drugs, but people give them the subscription, and the machine's like this big, had a robot arm, and it will go ahead and take the Viagra or whatever pill you need, the metformin, and put in a vial and all that kind of stuff, right? So I was the maintenance guy, right? So I would go around, and what I would do is I would have say 2 or 3 hours in a store, but I would sit in my car, open up my laptop. I had a little Wi-Fi card. I don't know if you guys remember the little Wi-Fi card. And I would sit there and trade stocks back in the day, right? Look at the markets and stuff like that. So instead of scrolling my phone on cat videos, I focus on trading.
Right.
So, and that's the beauty. We all have choices, right? We all have choices.
That's very true. What about losses? We talk about, making it students taking how long did we say a student?
I would say with consistent, brand new, 6 months to a year.
6 months to a year.
Yeah.
Have you met a student that just losing, blew up their account and never make it as a trader?
Yeah, and all of it's because they don't have the discipline to follow the plan. If I want to work out, my trainer told me, listen, how do you want to work out? And I gave her some ideas. Here's what I want. I don't want to be sore. I don't want to go in and do my personal heavy best. And you know this. If I go in, let's say my personal bench press is 100 kgs. But if I do that, I'm going to rip every muscle out. I got to warm up, and I might do my personal best maybe once a month or something. But the rest of the time, I'm doing more reps. So with trading, same thing. Trading, we take short trades, especially scalping. It's called scalping, where you go and just take a little bit off. So we take short trades, right? And then we get in, we get out. We get in and get out. We get in and get out, And so sometimes I'll do maybe 5 trades a day, 15 trades a day. But the beauty of doing my trades, I do one at a time, maybe two at a time. It's different than, and every time I do a trade, I reset my mind. See, unlike the gym, where if I'm doing like 20 reps, it's going to be harder on the 20th one. When I'm trading, if I'm doing 20, the 20th rep is just as easy as the first one because it doesn't build upon itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It doesn't build upon itself.
Yeah.
Right? And again, it's the mindset. Once you get one winning trade, whether you're copying me, you're using the bot to do it, whatever it is, you one winning trade, then you can build on that. You can build on that.
Right.
And I tell people, and again, our strategy is first you paper trade, virtual trade, which is good. Get maybe 80% on that. Call it the sniper approach. So 80%. So my thing is we use a lower time frame. Okay. So maybe 5 minute, 15 minute versus the 1 day time frame. Okay. And like a sniper waits. Sniper does 90% waiting. So we wait for the perfect setup, right? And then we take one shot, right? And we make 10%. We're in and we're out, sometimes within minutes, right? And then we do it again. We reload. We look for maybe the same coin, same indice, and we just do that in and out, in and out, in and out.
So you're waiting for like the price to come down to a support, to a floor.
Yep.
You snipe it
Yep.
up 10%, and then you're out. You're
Yep.
out.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you blown out your account before when you was trading? Have you like blown out couple of accounts even yourself?
Yeah, so I have multiple accounts. So I'll do multiple accounts for different strategies.
Right.
In the beginning, yes, it was, and when I start a new strategy, I put a small amount in, maybe a couple $1,000 or whatever it is to try it. But I believe in something called asset allocation. So when I go as a trader, I have a certain mindset. I actually have what I call a special hat I wear. I call it my investor cap. Because when you're, and you guys know this, so when you go home, you play with your daughter, you got your cap as a dad. Right. When you talk to your wife, you've got the cap as a husband, right? And you got business owner. So I have my investor cap. And when I have my investor cap in, anyone in the house knows not to mess with me. And I also think differently because I train myself. I frame myself. Okay, I'm an investor. And what's an investor do? A couple things. Asset allocation. So even though I day trade, I don't put all my assets in day trading. Right. I also have a security fund. I also have what's called a momentum fund where I'm doing stocks. I'm doing 10% a year. Then I have this momentum, which is a smaller amount where I'm trying to get 10% a month. Okay. And I always look, you either win or you learn. Now I've learned a lot throughout the years, right? Learn means losing, right?
I'm sure.
yeah. But I always back up. So now, even though I bought some crypto and it went down. Okay. Recently, the crypto market, depends when you watch it, went down, right? Went down about 30, 40%. Yeah. Now, I didn't buy at the top, right? When it came down, I bought. And some of them, I DCA'd in, dollar cost average. And what that is, I enter more. So now, like I checked before, 3 positions open. Ethereum is still down. My other 2, I did one yesterday in Solana and Bitcoin, and they're up, right? They're up, maybe 4 or 5%. But again, I don't panic. I think as we go back, emotions is very important, right? When you guys drive, when you first drove, how old were you guys when you first drove?
17, I think.
Mine's about 17 years.
Yeah.
17
is the legal age over here to drive.
Yeah, so somewhere to the U.S. When I first drove, my God, it was scary. You drive during the day. My dad taught me Sunday morning, kind of there's parking lot, and then you get on your own, you're on the highway, and beep, beep, it's raining all of a sudden, you get low gas, right?
Yeah.
All that stuff. And then, but now if that happens to you, you'd be like, chill, right? Right, I can tell. Like I would guarantee probably another year you'd be so chill because you have a daughter. Like everything's yelling at you, right? When you go to home, right? Now you're chill. It's like and that's what life is. So if I can help the student get to that chill point, okay, you've seen the worst thing. Okay, wait, and there's always options. So even if a trade goes against you, what could you do? Now you could close the trade out, which means okay, you finalize the loss. You quantify the loss. You can add more. Okay, in terms of that, you can even open up on some exchanges a reverse position. So I can have a long on Bitcoin and a short on Bitcoin at the same time, right? So you can do stuff like that. Maybe the long of Bitcoin is maybe I switch it to a swing trade, which I'm looking at maybe a 4 or 5 day out, and then the short maybe just for 1 or 2 days.
Right, that's called hedging, right?
Hedging, correct. Hedging, yes,
right.
Hedging.
I see. I think the one misconception that everybody has about trading as a job, as a full-time job, it sounds really, a lot of freedom. It sounds too good to be true sometimes. That's the misconception because in reality, you don't always get all. I think the word I would use is not predictable. Like you don't win every single month,
Correct.
and that becomes like you get nervous and you get a bit anxiety. Like this month, maybe you're at a loss. Next month, maybe you're a win. I think a lot of people just can't handle that emotion of it's not predictable income every month. Is that what you're seeing in the students as well?
Yes, and as I shared before, you have to have asset allocation. So in my momentum bucket, which I do the day trading, right? That's where I'm looking to get the most returns from, but it's the smallest principal. Okay. The other thing too is I look at, so maybe I'm judging myself either on a daily basis or a weekly basis. I'm looking for an overall positive result, either daily or weekly. So do I lose trades? Yes, I do lose trades. And how I learned this is, we're going to talk about AI and bots. I've got a partner and we created some AI trading tools. So we took all the different steps I'm doing and we put in an AI tool and we run it on, like, for example, gold against the USD, the Forex market. And we'll do 60 micro trades a day and maybe 30 are positive, 30 are winners, but we make profit. So let's say I win, I make $1, but I lose 5 cents, right? And so it just does it automatically.
It's called the risk to reward ratio.
Risk to reward, risk to reward ratio. And in the day, we look at on that particular thing to get 1 to 2% a day profit. So we don't look at, we just look, and again, it does it automatically. So there's no emotion, okay? There's no hesitation. And it just follows the path and it does it. And what I noticed is I look at the bots, and at first I was like, my God, how do we tweak these so we get 100% winners? Because everyone wants to be perfect.
Yeah.
But in life, you don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
In trading, you don't have to be perfect, right? As long as there's a saying, and you guys probably heard this, there's 4 results when you trade. Now, it could be real estate, it could be stocks, it could be gold, crypto, okay? And you guys know this? So the first one is you can lose big, okay, right? You put in $100 and now you got 0. Right? Second one is you could lose small, right? You put $100 in, now your account's $90. Okay. The third one is you can win small, right? Or you put in $100, now it's at 105. Okay. And the last one is what we all dream of.
Win big.
Win big, right? You put $100 in, now it's worth 18 million. You've seen the meme cards. But so what I try to do is I take out the third one, right? Take out the third one, the fourth one, which is the losing big. So my trades, let's say I put $100 in, they might clear out at 90, so I lose $10, or I win at 110, or I win at 150. And if you do the math, that's the best way. That's the best way.
Let's talk a bit about trading bot. You mentioned about trading bot.
Correct.
Tell us a bit more about trading bot versus like human trading.
Oh, it's a great question. Great question. So all I did was take what I normally do, me and my business partner, what we currently do, and we automate it. And it doesn't mean that so it's like a calculator versus writing, like doing math by, pencil. Calculator doesn't mean it gets the same result, but it's much easier. So with a trading bot, now with all the AI tools, and AI, it can mimic our reactions and it does it at better time. And we use bots all the time. I mean, anywhere you use bots, right?
Yeah.
It's like when I put that little pot in, even the coffee machine, it does 18 steps. I don't have to do it, right? It heats up the water, does all this stuff. It's all there, right? So trading has been, I think the biggest thing, people don't understand it, so they're afraid. And the other thing is scams. There's so many scams. Everyone says there's trading bots.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Everyone's got this. And in Malaysia, I hate to say it, in Asia particularly, there's so many scams. And that's what makes the industry look bad for people, because they know somebody. And I'm saying, listen, I have students come up to me during some of my live classes, say, Louie, I lost 100 grand, 200 grand. Can you help me? I'm like, I can't, right? I'm not talking about the scams where people impersonate people. That's a different scam. But I'm talking about ones where they put money in it. I've done it too, where I put in 10 grand, 20 grand. I knew the owner of the company. I went to his office, right, at Central. And then a few months later, he disappeared. And so I call one of the staff, because I keep track of the staff, and he go, oh, can you help me? We haven't gotten paid 4 months.
Damn.
I know. And what do you do? You cry, you lick your wounds, and you learn from it. And so I tell all my things, okay, what did I learn? Now, it took me a couple of weeks to understand, because not just me, it's my students' money and stuff. I'm like, okay, what did I learn from this? And after the anger, the things, like, okay, what do you do?
How do you take it?
Oh, I was upset because the guy was a friend.
Really?
Yeah, I thought he was a friend. I thought it was a friend. He disappeared and took many, a lot of money, right? And so for me, and if people out there have these kind of stories, you're not alone, right? People take advantage. And that's why you got to have asset allocation. Can't put all your eggs in one basket. You got to be safe. And then if something happens to you, and you guys know, and you guys just shared with me, there's many times in your life that you've had a down moment, yet the roller coaster went down,
Yeah.
and you have to pick yourself up.
Yeah.
You have to pick yourself up, because if you don't do it, who's going to do it for you?
Exactly.
Right? So every trader out there has this same exact story. They pick themselves up. They
Right.
call it the hero's journey, right? When it comes to the movies, you got to have that thing that defines you. And so with me, is I've done a lot of stuff, and the crypto market is the most volatile market in the world.
Yeah, man.
It is. It is.
Right?
Yeah.
NFTs a couple of years ago, that was huge. I knew people making millions, spending 100,000 on a picture of an ape. And, you guys know that.
For rock.
You have a rock, right?
Yeah, rock.
And if you didn't get it, you wish, I wish I had $100,000 to do it, right? Now that rock's worth 13 cents, right?
Yeah.
If you can sell it, right?
Crazy.
So it's crazy. So again, and this is where, we talked earlier about like what your grandfather and stuff. I take a lot of that wisdom. So I have different strategies, right? And this is what I would share. And you guys do. You have asset allocation. You have multiple companies. So I have my main stream, my main investments, really safe, like real estate. I do covered calls. I do option strategies, very simple stuff, right? And that brings the bulk of the money. And then I have, my education business, because I believe it's a luxury to diversify. You have to diversify now. If you have one income stream, I think you're not doing yourself a justice, because now with AI, and you guys know this, everything changes quickly.
Yeah.
Everything changes. You're
definitely.
a technology company.
Yep.
Things change, right?
Yeah. Very
And-
fast.
Very fast, right? You've seen it. You've seen
Yeah.
where, maybe you have this one piece of software, you spend all this time learning the software, then they come up with this free thing that does it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, better, yeah. So it's amazing. So I believe that, and I believe, again, this is where, if you guys believe in a higher power, I think you both do, and if you're in the audience, I think you believe that they're there to root you on. I believe, there's a saying, I think Benjamin Franklin or one of the U.S. presidents way back when said, you either believe life's all a miracle or it's not. You can't have, I don't believe there's a miracle here. You have to believe. So I believe it's a miracle. I believe we're in the greatest age,
Or
2025.
maybe we're just all in the simulation.
Yeah, simulation. Amazing. It is a kind of simulation, right? I believe all this.
Our creators are like seeing us go about,
There's this TV show I just got into it called Love, Robots. Have you heard this one?
Yeah, I love Dead Robots.
Yeah, oh my God,
Netflix.
so amazing.
Bible Studio.
Yeah.
So amazing. It's so beautiful. And I was like, wow, I'm like, how come I didn't know? I thought it was like a series, but each episode is
Yeah, it's
different,
different,
it's different,
handled
it's
by
different.
different studios.
yeah, and you see the
different
animation,
story.
you see that.
Yeah.
And now people can replicate that just with a couple prompts.
Yeah, that's crazy. Destroy the whole industry.
Couple prompts.
Yeah.
So I tell my students, I say, listen, you need to diversify. You need to have, I call it the twin engines of financial freedom, or the quad engine. So, when you fly an airplane, right, you've got engines on both sides. And why you have engines on both sides? They really only need one in case of backup, right? So I say, I believe you have active income on this side and passive income on this side. So the active income, I always say, you have your main source of income. Okay, me might be training, you might be your podcast or your animation studio. Okay, then you have a side hustle you work on, and for me, that's AI. I create a lot of AI stories, AI books, AI YouTube channel, stuff like that, right? So that's on the active income. I got to put effort into it. I have a team that does that. Then the retirement income on this side, okay, I believe you have multiple stuff. So maybe you have one that's long-term, right? We talk about long-term. So I know you do real estate, maybe buy and hold coins, buy and hold stocks, Tesla, different things like that. You buy and hold, okay? And then I have what's called momentum, which is I'm doing the day trading or swing trading, stuff like that. So I believe if you do that, and then what happens is, let's say I make this month a lot of money in momentum trading, I'll take that and put that not just back into that, I'll take that and reinvest it into my real estate or long-term stock portfolio.
Right.
And where did I learn this stuff? I learned this from Robert Kiyosaki, Tony Robbins, simple stuff. I just have to make it work for me. And now with ChatGPT, it's very easy. You can take, if you guys see it, take a picture of your statement, okay, analyze this, Usually gives me a unhappy face. Oh my God. Right? Oh, you did this. Oh, don't do it again, Louie. Don't do it again. Right?
Right. And going back to the algo trading, that bot trading thing.
Yes.
So is it more effective and more efficient to use bot trading nowadays, like in the age of AI and stuff like that, compared to human trading?
Because I think I heard that even last time, 20 years ago, actually there's bot trading.
Yeah, there
as
is,
well.
but now it's on a whole different level.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. They've been bot trading for a long time. The technology, the big boys, like the JP Morgan. So
Yep.
they've been using.
I mean, like 70-80% of the US stock market is running on algos anyway.
I would say
right?
90%.
90%, yeah.
90%, because you realize that we have the retail traders and we have the institutions. Institutions run so much more money. I mean, who's got more money? You guys or the Bajaya Times Square? He's got more money than this whole neighborhood, right? Does that make sense? So,
Yeah.
but people forget that. They realize, okay, we might have more people, but they have more
More
money.
money.
More money, right? Like Saudi Arabia, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're giving Ronaldo $1 billion to come here. Mr. Beast, they gave him $100 million to do a pop-up amusement park, all this kind of stuff. So how I look at, okay, how can I be like the big boy? And that's why I said on this part of the airplane, I have these momentum, and some of these are like systems that can trade-wise sleep. Because if I'm manually trading, the challenge is I got to be there. And if I do probably maybe 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day if I got a group. But I can't do more than that. It's a lot of stress. And sometimes the trade might not be there. I got to go to the bathroom, right? You know what I'm saying? Might not be there. You got to trade on a 5-10 minute thing. I want to spend time with my girlfriend. I want to spend time with my daughter, stuff like that. So I'm on a plane some night. I mean, recently my mom had eye surgery. I went back to the U.S. I was on plane for like 30 hours. So I couldn't trade. But the bot traded up. So we use a bot, which has all our algorithms on there with manual intervention. So, for example, some of the things we don't trade, like Thursday nights, usually when the U.S., the Jerome Powell or any of
It's coming up with speeches.
and Trump's there, we turn it off. Just click off, off, right? And it has an automatic drawdown. So if we're down 10 or 15%, which we, totally shuts off until we manually start it again. And where do we learn this? We learn this through a lot of trial and error, just like anything. Just like anything in life, you learn through trial and error. But the beauty of copy trading, what we do is you can open up an account with a broker and it can just mirror our account. And what we like about it, and I tell people, copy trading is the best way, because if you find it, where people get scammed, let's say in Malaysia, and you guys know this, there's people say copy trading, and they'll give their friend the money, or they'll go to a broker that's maybe not licensed or it's local. Right, it's got fancy offices, all this kind of stuff, but it's local. Oh, we're in Seychelles. We're in some place they never meet the team. They don't know anything. Okay, so the brokers we work with are licensed out of companies like Australia, maybe Singapore, maybe the U.S. have very strict laws, right? And then so you put your money in there. It's like a bank. You put your money in there, segregated. And I put my money in. I trade, but you can actually copy my trades. So I'm trading my real money. I'm trading 10 grand, 15 grand. I'm trading. And anytime so I make my money on that. But if you copy my trade, let's say, Gene, you copy my trade, and then any profit, I'll get a certain percentage, 20, 30% of the profit.
Right.
So it's a win-win. So if you lose money, that means I lost money. And I don't like to lose money. Right? So again, it's not, don't put all your assets in there. You put a little bit. And when we tell people, because this market right now is so volatile, Japan got the first woman prime minister and she's changing stuff. And then Trump, you get the Trump effect, which is no one knows where it's going on, right?
Yeah.
And you got all these different governments coming with sanctions one day and the next day. Bitcoin's legal, not legal, gold, this, all this kind of stuff. So what happens is we tell people every week, pull out your profit. Pull out your profit. And again, that's just one strategy on the momentum side, right? So my long-term stuff, I just let it sit. I let it compound, as you guys know. The real estate, let it go. Stocks, I had Microsoft stocks for 20-something years,
Wow.
And I just let it compound, whatever. So it gets a little bit, every year get another share or something like that, right? And so if you're out there, it doesn't matter if you're 23 or 73, you can start now. You can start now, right? But the beauty is when you're 23 or when you guys are your age, like 30, you can have a little more risk than I do in the momentum bucket. Does that make sense? Because you have more time to make it up.
Does age matter actually?
100%. Because I'm 51, just turned 51. Okay, I know I look amazing. Some lazy skin.
To be honest, he don't look 51.
I thought you were in like mid-40s or something.
Actually, I thought he like same age like me.
Yeah, man, bro. Thank you for that. I act like you. I act like you. So I'm 51, but I do a lot of health stuff. But I realized, I probably got 30, 40 years, say in my working years, right? Versus you being 30, you've got 50 more years, right? In terms of that. And what's your goal? And again, it depends on different goal. Your goal might be, you're 35, right? Yeah. So your goal might be you want to retire at 40. So you got 5 years of
45.
So you get 10 years. So your strategies, even though they're going to have the same buckets, might be different than somebody who's 35. Let's say you got a brother 35. He wants to work and retire at 65. So he's at 30 years. right? So his stuff might be more longer term stuff, less volatile because, okay, you know, I got a government job. Governments never lay off people in terms of that. But you're like, you know, I got to do this. That's why you've got 3 companies, right? That's why you do. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? And us 3, we're part of that subset, especially the people who watch this podcast, because we want more out of life, right? All of us could have just had a traditional job. All of us are smart enough but we probably either can't keep my mouth shut. I can't keep my mouth shut when I work at an employee. Maybe we're entrepreneurs where we're kind of lazy.
Yeah.
You want me to do well? I ain't gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? you know, or it just doesn't feel right in your DNA.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why you started this podcast, right?
Yeah.
You know, and that's why people are listening to this podcast because they want to gain some glimmer of hope from you. So what I shared with you guys earlier, and I mean it, there's people out there you don't know. You know, and if you're comparing yourself to all the big podcasts, the Joe Rogans, it doesn't matter because there's people out there who are praying and thanking God that they heard something from you, right? So I appreciate you guys. So thanks.
For sure. So we talk about courses, right? I want to just touch a bit about courses. You mentioned you making, you know, there's a lot of perception of if you're making so much money trading, why teach? And I think you answered that already, that, you know, you want to give back to the community, give back to the people.
I love to teach. I just make more money than teachers, you know? And then the thing is, what I like to do is, like, by the 3rd day of my course is we can live trade. And so I love that. Is it easy? It's not easy being a teacher.
Right.
Because why? Every week, like a couple of years ago, every weekend we're doing an event on Zoom. Every week I have the same question. Well, how do you do this? How do you do that? You know, and you guys know, but again, I always say, like, listen, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be able to teach because I know that some of my students will become teachers themselves, and some of those students are going to help other people. It's just like a trainer, right? You guys go to the gym, you guys know trainers and even regular teachers. They're not there for the money. You know, I go to the gym, you know, I'm like 1 day a week. I need to go like you, Gene, 4 days a week. I look different. But I go and I talk to my trainer and I go, why do you do this? Because, you know, they're up at 6 a.m. They're coaching clients. The only break they get is from like 1 to 4 in the afternoon, which they can't do anything, right? They're just sleeping. Yeah. Then from 4 to like 10. And she goes, Louie, it's just in my DNA. I want to do it. And that's the beauty. Now, it's not for everybody. You know, my ex-wife, she's too analytical to trade. You know, but she likes different types of investments. She'll buy stocks. She'll buy unit trusts.
Too analytical to trade. Can you explain that a bit more? Like, too analytical to trade. Does it mean that it's like analysis paralysis kind of thing, which you can't pull the trade because you are analyzing too much, or what?
Correct.
Right.
Too much. You have to be a little bit of a risk taker to be a day trader. Which means I look at, let's say I have 10 indicators or 10 different things I'm looking at. If I get 4 or 5 and I have that feeling, I'll go in a small amount. Now, if I get 8 or 10, then I'll go in a bigger amount.
Right.
So let's say my average trade size is $100, but I only get 3 or 4, but I have a good feeling based on this condition it's going to be here. Instead of putting $100, I might put $30 in.
So technical and feeling, it does come together.
Correct.
So not all about technicals, because based on experience, you do have like feelings on whether it will go down or go up, right?
Correct. Different times, like if it's like, for example, crypto, which is great, or even gold is 24 hours, gold's 5.5 days, crypto 7 days a week. So if it's like this time right now, which the U.S. market is closed, because the U.S. market, 330 million people, bigger volume than Asia. You know, in terms of that, most people trade. So the U.S. market, if they're open, it's way more volatile, which is good for me than the Asia market. Asia market, Saturday afternoon, no one's doing anything. It's just kind of this right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Louis, so circle back to the bot trading, right?
Yep.
So do you actually recommend beginners straight away go to the bot trading, or they should start manually?
Do both. So what I do is I teach people. So when they come in, I'll show them both. I'll show them the bot, which doesn't take long. I say, okay, here's the bot. Okay, you can put a small amount in, or you can see our past track record. And what I love about the bot trading is you can go in there, right? I give you our account, and you can look. You can see every single trade we've ever done. You can see the winners and losers. So it's very transparent. Because the challenge with a lot of these gurus out there, and a lot of these different people, a lot of things, you don't know the trades. They just show you, oh, I made 5% today, made 5% this month. You can look at every single trade, win-loss, right? And we use licensed brokers, which is great. So I tell people, listen, I'll show you, it's just like being in school. I'll show you the long division, how to do it by hand, then I'll show you the calculator, right? And you pick what you want to do. Right. So same thing. So I'll show them the copy trading, which I tell them, okay, don't put this much in, but you need to learn how to manual trade. Right. You need to learn how to manual trade.
Just so you can manage the bot more efficiently? Is that what you mean? Why
You
that's
un-
why you want to
You
learn
understand
about
it. And people love doing it themselves. They love doing themselves.
Yeah.
People love, our people that I attract to, they want to learn the trade, whether they're a 68-year-old grandmother, whether a 32-year-old, single lady, they always want to learn the trade, which empowers them.
Yeah, because it sounds too good to be true. Like the bot, you just let it run and it makes a trade for you, versus that you have to go in there and manually look at the charts, pull the trigger. You need to be control your emotions and all, but the bot can do it for you. Wouldn't people want to can I just use the bot instead of manually
Yeah,
trading?
we have a lot. So again,
Right.
it's asset allocation, Gene. So asset allocation. So imagine you get 3 cups. So you have right here is you have your long-term strategies.
Right.
Okay. So
Investments, right? We call that.
yeah, investments, that could be real estate. Real estate, you're not trying to flip. You got long-term stocks. Maybe you buy Microsoft or Google. Long-term, you're just going to buy it, give it to Bitcoin, buy long-term. Then you got your medium-term. So I call this a 3-5-2. So 30%, I call this 50% and 20%, right? 50% are my, I would say, growth strategies. Okay, so I'm buying maybe some new small cap company. I'm buying something that maybe the next 2 or 3 years, almost like swing trading, next 2 or 3 years, I can reap the benefit. Okay, these ones I'll never sell. These ones, and I make profit. I distribute some of that profit into the other buckets. And this is 20%. This is high risk, momentum, stuff like that. So our bot, and we use Forex Gold, is not for you to keep it in there forever and grow it. No, you take the money out and you redistribute in different things, right? And so that's how I plan. That's how I plan my life. That's how people taught me how to do it. You got to have the different allocations, and it's almost like food, right? Now I could cook at home, and I do like cooking at home. It is totally irresponsible financially, because as a single guy, it costs me more money.
Yeah.
Just to buy the spices,
Spices,
Yeah.
your time to prepare that, prepare the food,
Yeah.
clean up, wash
First, I can
up,
call up Grab. I can go to the hawkers. It's there. Tastes better, cleaner. But I like it. The other day I went to sweet potatoes. My friend got me the Japanese sweet potatoes. So I went to Ben's and I saw them there. I'm like, and they had like each sweet potato, like one was like 20, 30 ringgit, right? Cooked. And they had a bag over here, 2 bags for like 6, say, sweet potatoes for like 15 ringgit. I'm like, oh, I can get 6 for this. So I went home, took them, I'm scrubbing them, took me an hour. And then, I made 3, 1 got destroyed, so 2.
Regret it.
But I like to do that. No problem. So some people love the and I teach people, listen, learn how to manual trade, because if you can make 50, $100, ringgit a day, it'll transform you and give you some freedom.
Right. What are the risks of algo trading, the bot trading? We know manual trading, you need to control emotions, be disciplined, have stop losses to minimize risk and all. But is there any risk to bot trading?
Oh yeah, a lot of risk if the bot isn't set up correctly, right? So we back test all our bots and stuff like that. Also, the bot, we don't want it to run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We put it different times. So for example, our gold bot, maybe sometimes during the New York session, which is at night for Asia, we turn it off because a lot of volatility, right? And if there's market announcements, so we do, I would say 90% algorithm, and then 90, and then 10% manual intervention. Right. Sometimes there's these flash crashes, like with Bitcoin, there's a flash crash. So we have to say, okay, our hard stop is, let's say Bitcoin went down, say 10%. Maybe our hard stop is 5%. Now, do we remove that hard stop and let it go down because it can come back up? So those are we have a team that monitors it.
Right.
In terms of that. So if we're traveling, if the team's traveling to an event, we turn it off. And we tell our community, what to do. Because there is for retail investors, there is no bot that takes care of all of it. And even the big guys, the institutional investors, they have whole teams that watch it, do this, they change it up. And at the end of the day, our goal is at the end of the month to get 10-15% return after you pay all the fees, after you pay us, to the client. And if we have 20 trading days, it's less than 1% a day.
Right.
So in terms of that, so that's kind of how we target that. Our goal is to make about 2% a day, because some days we turn the bot off. Like next, after this, I'm going to my friend's wedding, my partner in Phuket, and we'll have the bot off for 2 or 3 days, because when we tell people, listen, it's gonna be off 2 or 3 days. We're not gonna manage it. Our whole team's here, and then we'll get started on Monday in terms of that aspect.
Right. You guys manage the bot, or does the user manage the bot himself? You mentioned, because I have the perception that the bot is hooked to your brokerage or something, and then you set up the bot and you run the bot. But
Yeah, we manage the bot.
you manage the bot. Okay.
So you just connect to us. Let's say you have an account.
Okay.
You connect our. We manage the bot.
I see.
Now there's other ones where there's other companies that will give you the bot. Now I've seen that. The challenge is most people, 99% of the people on the planet, if I give you a bot, you're going to blow your account.
Right.
Because you don't know how to do it, and you got to have 24-hour access. You got to have a VPS, all these technical terms, and that's why we did the copy trading with licensed brokers, because it just makes it easier.
Then Louis, do you believe in the near future or right now, bot trading all the way, no manual?
Good question.
So basically, all the bots is doing the trading, and human, does not even have to see the market.
I think when that comes, your returns are going to be less and less.
Right.
Less and less. Because why? Because bots can adapt, and it's just like anything. If it's the more safe investment, there's less return. The more risky the investment, the bigger the return. Yeah, higher return.
Because trading, it definitely involves human emotion, right?
Yes.
So it's all controlled. But I wouldn't say controlled by human, but human actually also.
Human emotions, I think, play a big part in the market, how the market moves.
Because I heard this is like, sometimes market crash. That's the opportunity where you earn money, right? So if all bots came in, then I think there's no chance at all.
I think what Louis you mean is when everything is algo, everything is bots, it just kills the volatility.
Yeah, it kills the volatility because but I think we're a long way away from that. I think we have greed, which is great. We have a lot of people.
That will never go away.
They'll never go away. You'll have a lot of people who aren't dumb or who are dumb. For everyone who thinks Bitcoin is going to go up, there's 5 people who think Bitcoin is going to go down. And then you also have to look at the market. Like I like looking at real estate, right? And if I look at Malaysia versus Singapore market, different ones have different advantages, right? Malaysia market long-term growth based on my experience, and again, different people might it doesn't fit my criteria, right? Versus Singapore fits my criteria, but the cost of entry is much more. Right. So the beauty of today is people who are accessing this with the internet can invest. So I always tell people, first thing, you got to think of yourself as a global citizen. You can invest in different places. Like right now, you can get online. We can invest in the US. We can invest in UK if we think that market's good.
Yep.
Right. And you guys know because you guys do different things. Like my goal is to make money, and the criteria is legally, ethically, and with less risk, in and out as quick as I can. Now, again, like I said, I have AI stuff that you guys do. Like you guys also do AI stuff to make money, right? And I want to be in the AI field because why? It's going to transform everything. And the better I get in the AI field, I can use some of that stuff over here. And what we have, which I think is not many people have, I realize this, is we like to, I would say, have grit and we hustle. Right?
Yeah.
I've seen you guys don't need to do this, right? This is not financially viable at a big scale. It's not a Joe Rogan scale yet, but you do it. And I think that gives you momentum and favor, but most people don't do it. Most people just sit and complain, and it's okay. I love those people because it makes my job easier. It does. It does.
True.
Right?
That's
It does.
very true. And tying everything up together, again, it's not financial advice. Everything we discussed here,
Correct.
Trading is risky and all. And for people who dream to escape the 9 to 5 with trading, the message we want to send out here is it's not easy. But I want you to just wrap it up nicely. Like, what is the brutal truth of the dream of quitting a job, your 9 to 5, and become a full-time trader?
I think just like I did back when I was 24 years old and said I want to have an extraordinary life, not an ordinary life, I think you have to make a decision and then say, listen, I want to do whatever it takes to be a full-time trader and then and take that path. Now, the path might take you 3 months, 6 months, a year, maybe longer, but it will happen. Just like we both know people who are bodybuilders and they say, okay, I want to compete. And it's a 12-week or 4-month process out there. Same thing, right? People think, I think because they think this is a hobby, it should never be a hobby. It should be a business. So for me, I like to put my investor cap on, get professional and say, listen, if other people can do it, if Coach Louie can do it, if Gene can do it, I can do it too. It just might take me a little longer because I might not have the skills, but I can get the skills. The beauty of 2025, we have so many skills, so much stuff. But I believe, again, belief is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Belief is most important.
And I think getting educated is going to be as important as well, because it's always amazing where we study 10 years, 20 years to become a doctor, to perform surgery and everything. When it comes to trading, everybody can just jump on for 3 months, expect to make a lot of money. And I think that is very unrealistic, and it's definitely not as easy as it seems. You need to have a lot of training, get educated, and stuff like that.
Anything you want to be a master at, and you guys know this, you need training.
Yeah.
I'm divorced today because when I got married, I thought that was it. And I should have trained. I should have taken courses. I should have done marriage. I should have done a lot more stuff to make sure that I was a pro at marriage. Does that make sense? And I use that analogy because people might relate. But like you said, as an adult, most people don't take the time to learn. Very few people take the time to learn and master something. Right?
Very true.
One of my mentors, Tony Robbins, says, when you get married and let's say you want to get intimate, most guys don't know what to do because they did watch a video or something. But if you really want to do it, you got to focus and you got to learn. Like if you want to be a chef, you take classes. You want to be a trader, you got to take classes. You got to practice, and you got to say, listen, for the next 5 years, this is all I'm going to do. I'm going to be the master at this. Right? So I agree with everything you said.
Yeah. Very good advice. And I love all the analogies and metaphor. Makes a lot of sense. Steven, you have any last question you want to put in before?
Actually, I have one last question.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I don't know whether how should I put it.
English.
No
Definitely.
countries.
Like everyone want to trade, right? Definitely, there's a loser out there.
Yep.
And definitely, there's a winner.
Yeah, it's a zero-sum game in the end of the day.
This is the trading market, right?
Yep.
So in education, when you teach, how many students that you have?
Oh, over the last few years, I would say over 10,000.
So if like 10,000 trade what you have been trading, so who is going to win?
Okay. So no matter if they pay me thousands of dollars to train them, very few people have the discipline after 3 months, after 6 months to continue on.
Okay.
When I joined the gym, right, they told me I joined Anytime Fitness. Anytime Fitness is as big as your office, right? But they might have 5,000 members, and all 5,000 members, even though they pay every month, don't show up.
Yeah,
That makes sense?
Maybe
So-
10 show up, 20 show up.
Okay.
So having the intention is different than having the commitment, right? Everyone, I'm sure, Stephen, we all like, okay, I'm going to work out. I have the intention. I'm going to work out at the gym 5 days a week. I bought all these vitamins. I just bought fish oil when I was in the U.S. last week. I don't take it, right? I don't take it, right? So you got to come up with strategies to remind yourself, right? And in the first, they talk about, Malcolm Gladwell talks about the first 1,000 hours, to form that habit, or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. It's the same thing. Right. So, and that's why we come in and we teach a holistic, not just, wham, bam, you're done. No, you come in you take the first weekend, you do that. And then you have this. And while you're learning for the next 3 months and making mistakes and making a little money, losing a little money, you also have like a trading bot that can also make you some money on the side. So you earn while you learn. So in terms of that, hope that answers your question there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's all that we want to ask. Anywhere people can find you, your work, your courses.
Yeah, I'd say the best would be Instagram. Send me a private message. Louie, Louie. My last name is Pinto. Louie Pinto. .com. I think Pinto in Malacca means horse, right?
I'm not sure, is
in
it?
Portuguese? Bean. They always call me Pinto Bean, which not very flattering with the ladies.
I need to look that up.
Not very flattering with the ladies.
Yeah, and we'll leave everything in the description below so you guys can check Louie out and his courses and everything, and DM him if you guys want to connect with him. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. That will help us grow and bring you guys more amazing guests. But in the meantime, if you guys discover this channel, don't keep it to yourself. Share it to the world. Me and Steven will see you guys in the next one. Peace.